Aren't you gonna comment on the nifty new intro?
Oh yeah. Well, oh yeah. Is this the same guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Kevin MacLeod. The track is called Shaving Mirror. Hey, Gene. Good to see you, sir. This is the Jimmy Doane Show. We are live twice a week, actually, these days. Wednesdays and Sundays at 4 o'clock. You can find us right here.
Eastern time.
Eastern time. United States time.
Yeah. Well, Eastern time.
Well, not like Far Eastern time.
No, that's true.
So also, I will post a nice subject-timed copy up on YouTube about an hour after we get done here for your ease of perusal.
It's going to take some this time because we skip around a bit on some of the stuff.
Oh, is that what you got planned?
Well, not really. Didn't plan it that way, but it's just this way it is. This is Jimmy Doane anyway, here with Councilor Curtis.
That's him and that's me. And today is the 10th of February.
Sunday.
Sunday.
There we are.
That's
Good.
it.
Alrighty. Well, we got a fair amount to talk about today, and let me just do one thing that we're not going to talk about. Well, I'll wait on that.
Okay.
One thing I have been doing, just to tell you, I've been binging
Okay.
on West Wing.
Oh, yeah?
West Wing was about 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I watched it.
Okay, it was like 7 seasons or something.
Yeah.
6 or 7 seasons. Martin Sheen, great. I mean, the actors were sensational. I mean,
The writing is fantastic.
unbelievable. Now,
Yeah.
it was
the characters were very well developed. and
unbelievable.
defined.
I mean, really
Nicely done.
unbelievable. But first of all, it was a real liberal show. Although they occasionally had little flashes, good flashes.
Occasionally.
They did occasionally. No. This Donna was one in one of the episodes. She was asking when they were claiming they had a surplus, and she says, "Well, can I get my money back?"
Right.
And they said, "No. We spend
The secretary, right?
Yeah, the secretary. Can I get my money back?" Mm-hmm. And then Josh says, "No, we're going to spend that money.
Mm-hmm.
We know. Do you know better than I do how to spend the money?" Well, yes, we do actually, and that's what we do. Blah blah blah. So anyway, that was a little thing in there. But the scripting and everything is. I mean, the thing is, it's so like today.
I was just going to say.
I mean, it's unbelievable. 20 years.
Bring us to the Green New Deal, or what?
I mean, just
we
about.
have to mention this because I know it's been out since like the last show.
Yeah.
And I know you don't want to talk about it.
Well, I can't. It's too much stuff. I pulled it off. Here.
It's too much stuff. Like corporate is not going to shut us down in an hour.
I know, but this is an entire big show in and unto itself. But some of the stuff that's been going, this would take a whole show at least. But I did do a cover page for it.
There you go. Uh-huh.
See, that's the cover page. If you can see that, it's the unicorn because that's what it is. I mean, it's the most unbelievable wishful thinking you can imagine.
Well, what did you think about? I'm sure you saw Scott Adams' assessment of the whole thing, the whole issue.
I did.
So, what did you think of his presentation? His whole concept is that doesn't matter if it's pie in the sky.
Right.
The fact is now everybody's talking about this pie, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And so if she gets 10% of the wish list, then she's gotten more than
anybody else,
or would have got otherwise without the pie. But I'm not sure it's going to go all the way that way because I think there's going to be a sort of a come to Jesus moment at some point. And this might have been it. It might have been the no air travel in 10 years or the unwilling to work.
But a lot of that stuff, one thing I did see, Tucker Carlson had this guy on who was a proponent, one of her advisors. Mm-hmm. And actually, Tucker kind of got slammed a little bit about this because he was talking about the FAQ, which was taken down. And the FAQ, the frequently asked questions about this thing had a whole bunch of other stuff. It was kind of this is the way we might do it. And in there was some stuff. But still, that was not the proposal. And what Tucker was saying was, this isn't, no airlines or whatever, isn't it? No, it's not in the proposal. Go read the proposal. The FAQ is one thing, but they can revise that. That's just, somebody threw that out there. Don't worry about it.
Well, I read the resolution.
I know, it's right here.
And it's basically just a wish list of everything. It's whatever you want. It's the whole checklist that we were going to make, and I started to make a little matrix there.
Yeah.
Of what do you get for free, and from which candidate? Do you get housing? Do you get transportation? Do you get health care? Do you get education? Do you get retirement? I mean, not that you need it, because you get a job if you want one. If you don't want one, you just get guaranteed basic
Well, that
income.
was another thing that was in the FAQ. If you don't want one, they took that out.
Yeah. You know what? I think she got busted is what happened.
Oh, yeah.
I think a bunch of people saw it. I think she did intend to put it in there.
I'm sure.
And she took it out because it was
the
too
blowback
far.
was way too much.
Exactly.
No question about it. But even so, the document itself is ripe for ridicule. You cannot imagine. What's interesting is when you see the other lefties, they're praising this
Right.
as the finest document known to mankind. If we can do it if Roosevelt and the First World War and the Second World War, whatever it is, Second World War, excuse me, and whatever, we can do this. We get together and so forth. And the problem is, of course, there's no specifics. Obviously,
There will be,
yes. But the idea is that and the guy admitted this. He says, "Look, our idea is to reduce the net carbon emissions, which means there'll still be some, and they'd be in the airplanes, okay? But the rest of it, will balance all that off. Don't worry, nobody's going to lose their airplane." And of course,
right.
Well,
Look,
you think the airplane people are going to let that go through?
No, I don't. And so, but what I'm getting at is, I at this point, I think AOC and her people actually believe what they're selling here. This is the idealism of youth. They believe,
except they're old people. Malarkey is how old is Malarkey?
Yeah, but they're just jumping on board because they're politicians and they have to follow the lead. They have to follow the society.
Okay.
And so if there's a popular movement, everybody has to jump on board with it. I mean, we've seen this, and especially the Democrats.
Yeah.
So what's happened is
This is when the crowd goes out front and you say, "Excuse me, I got to go get in front of my crowd."
You totally do that. That's it. And look, we want them. We expect them. That's fine. It's all good if they do that, because then all you have to do is create public opinion, and the leaders will jump on board. The rulers will jump out in front.
Leaders,
like you said.
right? The rulers.
But what we got here, AOC, what I honestly believe that she just has the idealism of youth going for her.
No question.
She's thinking to herself, she is the first person who really cares enough and really is going to stand up and like nobody thought of this before.
Right.
And
But she is rather charismatic.
yeah, sure.
I mean, she's good looking. She's got the attention.
Sure.
I mean, the satellite trucks are always following her all over the place.
And they will continue to, I believe, until she says something else kind of Dean Screamish, which this.
Oh yeah.
Which
one was that?
Well, this is the airplane stuff. And
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Look, that stuff.
I'm pretty sure they're going to retract that.
Well, look, she's going to say something about like that live very soon. She doesn't back away from the socialist part of it.
No, she doesn't at all.
And so as soon as you embrace it, look, here's the thing.
doubles down.
There's no opposition at this point, unfortunately. Even Trump, did you notice in the State of the Union address said all for some nice infrastructure spending and all for we're gonna cure AIDS within 10 years. Like, I mean, it's noble, but it's government spending. In other words, Trump is kind of showing his true colors in that he is really,
Orange.
Yeah, right. He's really a Democrat when it comes down to it.
Okay.
Orange is
spending, yeah, for sure.
Right.
Tax and spend, yeah.
And so and it's interesting because there was actually, if you think about it, I think a lot of honesty in his reach across the aisle during the State of the Union address. He wants to spend with them. That would cement his legacy. He could have a big wall with a T on it, a new big whatever building with a T on it, and this building and that building with a T on it, and all because he gets together with the Democrats.
But I mean, they hate him so much.
For now, but soon, look, they're very forgiving if you start offering up cash for their issues, and if he's really on board with their issues. For example, what's happened to repeal Obamacare? Gone. Nobody cares.
Well, the only thing they did get out of it, of course, was they repealed the individual mandate.
They did do that,
and
but
that was a real.
It's huge. That was a huge step, and that may be the demise of the whole thing. That may have been the poison pill from the beginning. And thank you all for putting all that stuff in there and having it all eventually crumble. But they're still talking about the Republicans repeal and replace type of a thing. What does this replace?
Yeah.
Why everybody's still on board with this? And of course, all the Democrats are wipe out the entire private sector in terms of medicine,
Right.
And just go straight into 100%
single payer. Yeah, I mean, and this is
100%. Just as much as they can get. If they win the White House and both houses, that's what we can expect in the first 100 days. Is
the private sector goes
single
away.
payer. Yeah, exactly.
That is stunning. It is just stunning because when you look around at any time that has ever been tried in the last 5,000 years, it has failed.
Well, yeah, and they're also going to rip the knob off of the spending.
Yeah, they want to eliminate this constant cap business. You know, I didn't realize this, but there are like no other countries that have a debt ceiling. So whatever.
It was a jokey thing when we put it in. We've never done anything except for move the limit.
Right.
Nobody's ever said, "Oh, we're not going to spend that much money." I mean, for more than a few weeks.
Yeah.
And so it has never worked as it was originally intended.
Right.
And as we've seen, the spending through all the presidents. It has doubled the debt. Every single president has doubled the debt, no matter, even if Clinton had a little bit of a deficit reduction, whatever it was. So we're at 20 trillion now. The projection should be that Trump would get us to 40 in 8 years.
Right.
And if he does some kind of a crashy thing, or if something happens where the Democrats get involved, they'll have no problem taking us to 80.
Yeah.
And Peter Schiff talks about the dollar crash, but from my perspective, economically, you can't have that kind of a thing unless there is a replacement. That is, they're not going to get off the dollar standard unless they get onto the yuan or onto the euro or something. You can't.
Well, you say that, but let me just tell you something. One of the little minor problems is that since Bretton Woods, the dollar has been the de facto backup currency.
I understand that.
And so what happens is, in Zimbabwe or in Venezuela, you know, you go down there with dollars and you're okay. I mean, I can remember when I went to Paris the first time in 1960. You handed out dollars. They gave you a discount. You know, that'll be X number of francs, or you can have it for $2. And so it was the de facto backup currency. But what happens when your backup currency goes to south?
Well, it's a horrible situation. But what I'm getting at is that is not going to happen for the dollar until some other currency takes its place. And
that's a real problem because, as I say, that is a real problem because, I mean, there's no backup currency. That's their problem for the dollar. What else you got? Barter? I mean, that's not going to work.
No. What would happen? What I'm getting at is at some point, like the Chinese sort of intimated that at some point they were going to create a gold-backed yuan. I know it's pie in the sky, but all the other crazy capitalist things they've been doing over there, you could almost see them doing something.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that here.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Yeah. So did we stray?
Well, no, we were just talking about the Green New Deal and how it'll destroy the entire economy. But it's socialism at its core. But there is no opposition to her. Nobody is saying, "Hey, we can't spend $30 trillion." Not even Trump, is what I'm getting at.
Right. Okay.
So we're at the point of where we're center headed left and the gas is on the left hand. It's like, I don't know where.
Well, it is interesting because they have confronted her and her minions about, well, how are you going to pay for it? Well, we paid for the Second World War, no problem.
That's what I'm getting at. Is nobody after, and then they go, okay, okie doke.
Okie doke. Oh, that would in one of the things that I'm going to go back in this West Wing. They're always walking. The entire show is they're walking, and they're doing policy, walking. And the one comment that you'll see in this thing that's so funny is, okay. And they just say time after time after something. Okay, it's so funny. I love the show. I'm only on about.
It's fantastic.
I'm only on about the fourth or fifth one, but I'll tell you, and so much of it is like. It reminds me a little bit of The Simpsons when they had the Donald Trump on the escalator or whatever. I mean, this was like 20 years before the guy was there, and he was president. Okay, moving on. So we'll get back to this at some point. I'm not sure. The
Green New Deal, it'll come up a zillion times.
Okay, right. All right. One of the things that we have seen, of course, some of the big stuff this week had to do the continuing saga in Virginia.
The continuing saga.
This is something they call the ticking time bomb in the attic of U.S. politicians, the yearbook.
Aha!
And I can tell you right
Oh,
now.
Lucy, you had to go there.
Yeah.
You had to go there. Now you know what I have to do. I have to show you the picture, Lucy.
Oh, that's from my yearbook. That is from my yearbook. I mean, give me a break.
Now this is in Washington D-effing-C.
Yep.
20 years after the war.
It's 1960.
Okay, 15 years after the war in D.C.
That is Jimmy Doane lighting a bomb. And that's the picture in my yearbook.
You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because they had a sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? Humor!
Yes! Oh my God! You know, but if they
What the hell?
I'll tell you, I couldn't run for dog catcher poop
Oh,
if they went
no.
through my yearbook.
Oh no! I mean that right there. that is a felony offense right there. So yeah. So that's what.
So anyway, that's the problem is they're dragging out all this stuff, and
Yes.
people are suddenly admitting that 20, 30 years, 20, 25 years ago, whatever, I was in blackface, I did this, and now they're talking
Amazing.
about these, and then the girls are coming out and saying he has accosted me 20 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever.
Right. Well, that's a little different. The yearbook thing. I mean, you're always going to get backdated accusations. You're always going to get accusations from time gone past when people are ascending through the ranks of politics. But
Yeah, they
we
drag
have
out.
ways of dealing
Well,
with
it's called oppo research,
it.
opposition. They
exactly.
always do that.
You got skeletons in the closet. Come on, let's get them out, shake them out, and it's just unfortunate for this generation. Is really the first one with pictures.
Yes, well, that's right. I mean, it says right here, it says here, hidden away in dusty drawers, stuffed in boxes, long forgotten.
Yeah.
Often featuring frat boy humor or worse of their youthful lives, the collections of old photos and writings are coming back to haunt haunt America's elected leaders. So they admit about their blackface and so forth. Then they have the scandal, and of course, with the girls that are coming out on the second and third in command or something, accosted at some DNC thing, and of course, the rule is after Kavanaugh, if she says it, you got to believe it.
Well,
Except maybe not.
Some people tried to make that rule, but that will never be the rule because we're an innocent until proven guilty culture.
Not if you're going to be a Supreme Court justice.
No, he made it through.
Oh, he did barely.
But he did.
Yeah. Okay. I love this. Yearbooks, the relics of pre-digital age when people wrote postcards and took photos on actual cameras. I think that's funny. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
Trump news. Trump announces that he and Kim Jong-un will meet in Hanoi, Vietnam.
Hanoi.
Hanoi, February
I can take
16th.
it.
That's like next week.
Hanoi, there we are.
Yeah, the Hanoi Hilton. Thank you so much. But you know what is so funny and what is so amazing about this? It's in Hanoi.
Where did you think it was?
No. But I mean Hanoi. We were bombing we were mining the Hanoi harbor. When I was, younger, just slightly younger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember that we were bombing the crap out of this place. Suddenly, one of the biggest meetings of the world is going to happen in Hanoi. I just the irony is.
Oh, right, the meeting. I thought you meant the Hilton is there.
No. The meeting. No, I don't. Yeah. Could you give me I need to have a room for 6 at the Hilton, and also, yeah.
That's right. Yes, well, and it is fascinating that Trump is acquiescing to this type of a meeting. I think he's going too far, really.
Do you?
Yeah, he's going over there to meet with this guy. What?
In a formerly hated country. To me,
at the very least, I liked Shapiro's idea, which was you send Pence. Here, you can have the vice president, blow him up, or do whatever. The point is, he's the arguably the second most powerful guy in the world. He's a heartbeat away from and so he's a fantastic prize for.
Send Pelosi. Isn't she third in line or fourth?
Hey, how come everybody on the plane is a Democrat?
Yeah, okay. You can't send Pence because then he would send his second in command, and he doesn't have plenipotentiary powers. The second
Well,
command.
but the
you know,
concept is whoever shows up speaks for the other guy.
Well,
And
good luck.
well, okay. At the very least, I would meet at a different location. Now he gets to go back to his people and say, "So I commanded the president to show up, and he's coming. I'm going to meet him."
So what?
Well, the thing is,
So what?
well, here's the thing: you have to decide to exert some pressure at some places if you think in any way that his regime could be better, right? I mean, there are ways to make it better. And I don't think empowering
And
him.
so what would you do? You would send your vice president?
I think I would send the vice president to like an island location very close by. They can meet there, and we work out some kind of a deal where they let us bring in some aid or something like that, and then we open some trade doors. That's what I would try to open trade doors.
Well, this is what he said here. It's interesting. He says, he later added, Trump later added, North Korea under the leadership of Kim Jong-un will become the great economic powerhouse. He may surprise some, but he won't surprise me because I've gotten to know him and fully understand how capable he is. North Korea will become a different kind of rocket, an economic one.
Right, and that's great advertising, and it's good and everything. Of course, the left will say that he is praising the dictator again.
Of course. Well, look, it's not like we haven't been dictators for our entire existence.
Well,
practically. I mean,
even without the hypocrisy, you would still want our guy to do that because if he's going over there for the negotiation, you butter him up. That's what you do.
buttering it up is by going there.
Well, and that as well. I agree. I know. I mean,
What can you? I look at it. What can you lose? You're not going to lose any face. You're not going to lose any face with 320 million people in the strongest military on the planet.
No,
You're going to go there and you're going to say, look, hey, I'm here. Now you can do your part.
I mean,
here's my button. Here's my red button.
Right.
And here's my present that I give you is your little red button.
Right. Well, I guess he gets to do a little show of force. He gets to show up there with some CIA guys.
Are you kidding? He shows up with Air Force 1, 2, and 3, and then he shows up
little
with
escorts.
The escorts. I mean, he's got the bulletproof limos,
Right.
everything you can imagine. For
Right.
God's, if you think that, I don't care who you are, and I don't care what he's going to call up, rent a limo in Vietnam, and and show up. I'm sorry, the intimidation factor has got to be unbelievable.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, Un will just lie. At the end of the day, you just go on about your business.
Well, you say that, but I would not be a bit surprised if By the way, here's in my coat here. I've got some photos from our low-flying, high-flying, mid-flying satellites.
Mm-hmm.
Say, what's this here? We've got the actual writing. Look, we've got the actual writing on this rocket. Okay,
yeah.
It says, and in Korean.
It says nuclear missile.
It says nuclear missile and death to United States. See, what about that?
Death to U.S.
I mean,
this graffiti right here.
This graffiti. I mean, for God's sakes. I mean, if they could, and see this guy. Well, now we have the right time because we zeroed on this guy's wristwatch.
Right.
And that was the time.
Right.
So,
Right.
That's
Here
our
you can
time
see
stamp.
your lieutenant's wristwatch. Yes, and and here we're zooming in on your
I
sweat.
mean, you gotta believe that there's some decks, there's some cards in the deck that Trump's going over there with that we don't exactly. And I trump
card. Yes. Yeah. Well, there you go.
I've got the Trump card.
It could be that kind of a play. So I'm not going to second guess it.
Okay, I will. I'll first.
No. I was starting to. I was saying send Pence, whatever, but
yeah,
whatever.
No, I think this is the right move as far as I'm concerned. Okay, moving along.
Yes.
China's new edge in. Wait a minute. No. Excuse me. We're going to get to healthcare. It turns out that we've got a new healthcare CDC, and you're not going to be able to put a picture of this up because it turns out that pornography. May soon be considered.
Oh, I got one right here.
I got one right here. As the show goes off the rails,
That's right.
X-rated.
That's right.
I want to see that
Slideshow right
That's
here.
right, slideshow. That's
How come you guys quit talking after that?
Yeah, right. We went to Pornhub, whatever it is. Okay. May soon be considered a public health crisis in Arizona depending on the fate of the resolution of the state.
God.
And I love this. Arizona State Representative Michelle Udall. Now, for those of you who don't know, Mo Udall, I guess was her dad,
Okay.
was a historic, very famous, guy, Republican, years and years and years ago from Arizona, and he did a lot of stuff. And he was one of the top guys in the Senate, I think. Introduced a resolution declaring pornography as a crisis, leading to a broad spectrum of individual and public health impacts. The resolution says pornography perpetuates a sexually toxic environment that damages all areas of our society. Like the tobacco industry, and I'm thinking, okay, that's cancer. Yeah, right.
Tie these together.
Tie it just like tobacco.
Right.
Pornography industry has created a public health crisis, she told lawmakers. Pornography is used pervasively, even by minors. Now, I'm sitting there thinking, little Johnny is 8 years old and has got his own internet thing. What do you think? Of course he's on there.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, the resolution passed a committee by party lines, where the Republicans hold, and she's Republican, hold a slim majority. Opponents agree that while there are dangers in excessive porn, excessive.
Yeah.
I went blind. I cannot see it.
That's right.
So it misses the underlying problem.
Click the wrong category.
So anyway, they want to start with education, and one thing she says, one of the states that does not have medically accurate sex education. Excuse me. In testimony, they were trying to blame everything on pornography. This is a stretch, said some Democrat, and she wants to focus on medically accurate sex education. And she said, "I don't disagree that the bill needs more teeth." And I think, you're right. I mean, what are you going to do? So you've got. This is a resolution, but it's going to go into committee or whatever. It's out of committee, excuse me. Mm-hmm. And of course, the question is, what? Okay, Hanoi, I love it. So the question is, how are they going to write the law? I mean, you can't do SWAT team shows up. We got your internet line here tapped, and you've been viewing. We want to see that. You're viewing. Okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm. You just get a subpoena through your email, or they interrupt your feed, and they
right. Well, it's
get down here.
Well, what is so funny?
Turn yourself in, right?
One of the viruses that I have on one of my computers over there is it pops up, and you can't get rid of it. And it pops up and it says you have a virus. We'll correct it. It's from Apple.
Right.
And click here.
Right.
There's no go away, no nothing. You basically have to shut down the computer. And turn it off. I've never been able to actually find it, but it turns out on certain sites, Cox comes up. These are faux sites and everything, but there's no way to put them away. And so that's what they'll do. They'll pop up there, and I see. Miss So-and-so January is asking for, would you like some sex tonight?
Right.
I see what you're doing here.
That's right, exactly.
Call this number, click here.
Right, we're blocking your life.
So anyway, China's new edge in future, and that's kind of interesting, I thought. A plan to leapfrog in the West in AI and robotics. Well, wait a minute. Don't get
Me too.
Don't go crazy. The West is hobbled by blind spots when it comes to China's ambitions to dominate next generation technologies like AI, robotics, and quantum computing. Now, they've already done the little quantum computing in a satellite. They're already starting that. Okay, and that of course has the ability real quantum computing. They've said has the ability to take computers 1,000 times at least more.
Yeah,
power.
but they're not there yet.
No, of course they're not. But they're working on it. One of the things that they've got. I love this, and of course all this that experts say. Well, you always wonder, who are these guys? These are self-styled experts, huh? Top men. That's
Come on, dude.
No,
you know who it is.
Yeah, you know who it is. Top
Don't question me.
Oh my God. So anyway, it says what's happening. China has all but missed out on the West's 20th century technological explosion. And what's interesting is until the 60s. It was, there was nothing, zero. Until Nixon,
no competition. What do you expect?
Nixon went over there, in the 70s, and China was a nothing. I mean, now, so what they have is the edge they have is called the second mover edge. advantage. Well, this is what happens when, if we've seen it in something like MySpace and some other stuff like that started off. I mean, Netflix, was it not Netflix, but Net something or another, one of the first original browsers.
Right,
Netscape. Netscape, right. And I mean, there have been tons of them. You know, Ask Jeeves, on them, and they've all gone away. You know, but because you got to see. You were second in line, third, fourth in line, and you got to see what was working, and you've gone on. So that's what China's been able to do. They've skipped over. For instance, they don't use credit cards. Is my understanding. You know, you take your phone. I mean, that's it. That's the way you pay for stuff.
Yeah, they have a lot more highly developed pay-as-you-go system over there.
Right. Well, the other thing is. The fact is that our military and DARPA and all these people are a little bit stuck in the past because they've got these legacy people that do certain things this way or that way. Now, one of the telling pictures that showed up the other day on my Facebook page was the graduating class in China from Beijing Electronics University or whatever it is, and they were all sitting there. Must have been 50 of them sitting there. These are graduates now. In technological, electrical engineering, and computers. Okay, and there was like 50 or 100 of them there at this one graduating class. They're all sitting there somberly and so forth. Then they showed the graduating class from some fraternity in Colorado, and literally there's naked girls. They're all sitting there. They're drinking beer. The whole deal. I mean, that was the picture that was on the internet for this university. What do you mean?
I mean, you could find a picture from. Yeah, I'm sure you could find a picture
in China.
No, I was going to say over here that was
somber people not throwing their hats up in the air, going.
Sure.
Okay. Well,
you might not find the reverse in China, but hey, it's because we like to have fun over here.
Well, that's true, but the thing is that there have been some other. I forget exactly what. I didn't drag up the statistic.
You might find them in Germany. So, what was the point of the article?
Well, the point of the article was they are really, meanwhile, China's pushing much harder than the U.S. onto next generation tech like semi-autonomous armed drones, military robots, and AI-powered cybersecurity. The thing being that they are graduating 20 times as many people that are conversant in this area, number one, than we are. And, with that kind of impetus. I mean, let's face it. They're 3 or 4 times our population, and they're taking the best of the best. Some of them are over here. They go home. Some of them are over there, and the best of the best. And I mean, you think
I'm
about.
Not worried about it. If you think about 3 or 4 times our population, let's say they're 4 times our population. So theoretically, they would have 4 times the number of intelligent people. But even I think if you could even give them an extra bump because of the IQ distribution or something. Let's say so. So let's say they have 4 to 1 or 5 to 1 in terms of intelligent people. Then we siphon off a few. We probably siphon off at least one of those.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that. We siphoned off like the driver for what's her name, who was a spy.
Right.
And there was another one here. There was another one. I was just reading about another one here that was in engineering school or something like that, and he was a spy, whatever. So I mean, that's what they do is they. Yeah. Okay.
I bet you another one of the 5 is bled off to some other Eastern or Western, Japan or Europe or something like that.
Right.
So
well, I think personally, to me the numbers statistically make sense in that it is very easy for me to believe that they could surpass us in this kind of stuff easily.
If they free up their market, that's really what it comes down to. And by the numbers that we read the other day, they were doing a pretty good job.
Pretty good job. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Another China item. U.S. military warns of threat from Chinese-run space station in Argentina. Now, well, they've got this, let's see here. U.S. defense officials are increasingly concerned that the Chinese military can monitor and potentially target U.S. and allied satellites from a new deep space ground station in the Western Hemisphere located in the deserts of Patagonia.
They have an ion cannon?
No, I don't think so. But that's probably next, for the ion cannon. Now, I thought that the ion cannon bullets were pretty slow because you could actually saw them myself.
Well, that's the knock on all the blasters, really, in Star Wars.
Yeah, right. That's right. So anyway, they're warned lawmakers that China's accelerated expansion into Latin America Not only does China support the autocratic regimes in Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua and employ predatory lending practices across the predatory lending, I love it, but it's also investing in key infrastructure such as the deep space tracking facility in Argentina. What's interesting is our military is getting all bent out of shape about this, and of course what China said was this was one of the sites that allowed us to land on the dark side of the moon. Because we had to have, as we have in our space thing, we have places like this all over the globe. I mean, they've got 3 or 4, maybe 5, I don't know. We got like 100 places where they're all tracking everything. So the idea that we're alarmed by this particular one,
Alarm.
that's right, a growing alarm. Over the past years, a powerful 16-story antenna has ridden from the remote big compound in the such and such province. But anyway, it's surrounded by an 8-foot barbed wire fence. Oh, fences don't work. Wait a minute. That's not going to keep anybody out. Anyway, no oversight from Argentina. It didn't begin until about a year ago.
So and they use it to control the weather.
That's right. Exactly right. It's a 16-story antenna. So anyway, what's interesting is Brian Whedon, a space policy and security expert with the Secure World Foundation, noted that the United States deploys antennas similar to that all over the world. Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, big. But I mean, that's why are they running in there spreading this alarm when this is like really what people do? If you're gonna have satellites going to the moon, especially the dark side, you damn well better have your little stations all over. Because I don't know if anybody told these guys, but the Earth rotates like once a day. Yeah. And there's times when it's not pointed that way, so you better have it. New Hampshire's highest court has upheld the convictions.
Aha, New Hampshire.
Oh, more porno.
I could take us to New Hampshire.
More porno.
What were you going to say?
New Hampshire's highest court has upheld the convictions of 3 women arrested for going topless on a New Hampshire beach.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you're at some one of those
Your
little
transporter. Oh, there you are.
Oh, thank you so much.
You were trapped in the transporter.
That's it. Just for a moment. Okay. The 3-2 ruling. I thought
it looks like you're at that nude beach right now, though.
Totally, I am. Totally, I am. You come. Watch this.
Yeah, right.
I don't need to be doing this.
We're not paying you enough.
No, not enough.
That's
not
right.
to show.
That's right. It's not your contract right now.
Male tits.
That's right.
Okay. The order is just anyway. 3-2 rule. I thought it was interesting. 3-2. So almost didn't go the other way. Friday, the state Supreme Court found the city of Laconia ordinance does not discriminate on the basis of gender or violate the women's right to free speech. They said, in a dissenting opinion, 2 judges argued that the ordinance was unconstitutional because it treats men and women differently. So anyway, they talk about these girls that are part of it. One of the girls
I agree with the girls, man.
Well, here it gets better. One of the girls was doing yoga. Now, I got a newsflash for you. If that isn't an attractive nuisance, then there is no such thing. I mean, how many people are whipping out their smartphones and filming that? I mean, yoga is not just yoga.
I say let her practice.
That's right. And so anyway, these people are part of the Free the Nipple campaign. The reason being, they were arrested 3 years ago after removing their tops at a beach and refusing to put them on when beachgoers complained. I mean, beachgoers were complaining. I guess because they're little kids. Kids, don't look at that. Mommy doesn't have any of those things. So the law supporters argue it helps prevent public disturbances. Okay, arguably, I guess. I mean,
that's a stretch. Like nobody's fighting at the nude beach, you know.
No. Well, again, having spent some time myself at this, it is interesting when you look at the difference on people. I was in Sweden one time, and I was at this youth hostel in Sweden, and a bunch of us, mostly Swedes, all took off our clothes and ran in the lake, and these 2 girls came down. And they were going to go swimming also, and they're coming down, and they looked and saw, they're getting ready to come into the lake, and they saw we were all naked and ran screaming back up into the hostel. What are you? There's naked people in there.
It's all a matter of perspective.
I know, but it was really funny because they were from New York. I remember that. Anyway, so, but I thought this is the sex law. Women are prohibited from showing a female breast with less than a fully opaque covering of any part of the nipple. So that means you can have literally a pasty,
Right.
and you're legal. So now, what I'm going to do...
Sounds, you don't want the two-tone...
No, this is what you do. This is where you can... Business opportunity. I'm going to have pasties in the shape of a nipple. So that's it. It'll be, what do you call it? It'll be painted on there and everything, but it's a pasty.
Right.
So don't arrest me.
Yeah.
See, it's
I'm
covered. Anyway, so we're extremely disappointed in the court's ruling, and differently than men does not amount to sex discrimination. The court was effectively condoned making it a crime to be female. Well, give me a break. But they did say that they're going to take it to the Supreme Court. Now, this is something
All right.
Yeah. I'm thinking, wait a minute.
I want to hear Brett Kavanaugh's questions.
Boy, isn't that the truth? I'm sitting there thinking, Supreme Court. I mean, what are the briefs going to look on this, and the amicus briefs and so forth with pictures?
That's it.
The pictures.
Attached is the disc, Your Honor, for your perusal.
Oh my God!
Please find
Supreme Court.
evidence.
Okay, moving on.
A link.
That's right. You can see the briefs. They're all www.so-and-so. But
Our main witness, Larry Flint.
is he still alive? He's not still alive.
I don't know.
I forget. Anyway, now in other news, we're doomed. Doomed.
Where's the doom come from?
The Andromeda Galaxy will deliver a glancing blow to the Milky Way galaxy later than expected.
Oh, that you say later this year.
No. They have long suspected that the colossal Andromeda Galaxy, I guess the Milky Way being only, 1,000 light years across, is a minuscule galaxy.
Well, it's 100,000. We're 100,000. They're both about the same size. I guess it's 50% bigger or twice as big or something.
I don't really know.
It's not much bigger.
I'd say it's a little larger.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're in billions of years collide with our humble Milky Way galaxy. Now they said, no, it's going to do a glancing blow, and guess what? 600 million years later than originally. So we got time. We have got time to prepare. It was forecast.
An additional 600 million years.
Exactly. It was forecast to happen in 3.9 billion years. Now, I don't know. It occurs to me, if I'm not mistaken, that in about 4 billion years, isn't our sun supposed to become a red giant?
Yeah.
So, come on.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem, right.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to escape the Earth, if humans, of course, of which there will be many, can get their hyperspace machine and go to some planet in the Andromeda Galaxy, part that's not going to hit the Milky Way, that.
Right.
So they now put the imminent date at 4.5 billion years, some 600 million years later than initially expected. And what they're thinking is that as this glancing blow, it become a monster galaxy as they rotate around each other. And so this is something we have to... I don't know if this is really something to worry about that much, but apparently it made the news. So,
well, I think we could include this in the Green New Deal.
There's a thought.
There ought to be some legislation that we can put in there that would, where everybody can do their part.
Right. Yeah. No, that's right. Look out.
Right.
It's heading our way. Get out of the way. I'm going to... Now, I do have a way. Believe me, you're going to like this. I've got a way to miss this later in this show.
Okay.
Let me just go. First of all, Amazon chief executive Jeffrey Bezos said Thursday that he was the target of an extortion blackmail effort by National Enquirer, and this had apparently they had, if what's his name Wiener had pictures of his crotch, but he had his whitey tighties on. Apparently, this was like full frontal.
Right.
That Bezos texted to his mistress. This was after, of course, right before the extortion note was delivered, he announced his separating from his wife of 25 years.
Yeah.
So, she don't care.
Yeah.
She's going to walk up with $100 billion or something.
Well, but that's not the big story about that whole thing.
He didn't.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tell me.
Yes. So, Bezos is talking about the National Enquirer. Their parent company is AMI.
Right.
The guy in charge of it all, and the guy who Bezos specifically identified as...
You don't mean Pecker.
Yes.
Ah.
Now, but it's not just the fact that this guy's name is hilariously funny in terms
How do you
of
go through school?
his relationship.
I mean, how do you get through
Well,
high
it's
school?
not that. It's that he's now involved in a dick pic situation. Okay, but it goes. I hate to say it gets bigger.
Good.
Yeah,
You're doing
it goes
well.
deeper than this. No, here's the situation. The problem is, or not the problem. What's incredibly interesting is that, from my perspective, the single worst witness against Trump in the entire Russia collusion situation is Mr. Pecker, because he had previously entered into a plea deal with the Southern District of New York and was granted immunity in exchange for his testimony against Trump regarding Trump's handling of the payoff
Right.
in the Stormy Daniels situation.
Right. Well, of course they don't. This is a Karen McDougal.
Okay, but my point being is this: up until this story broke, the Southern District had an excellent witness in an apparently uninvolved businessman, a regular old guy. That just is. I'm just reporting on what they told me to do with this money, and why he said he was going to do it to get elected, and so clearly now they can use this story. You can absolutely bring this up and say, Mr. Pecker, are you not being sued by Amazon, by Mr. Bezos for extortion?
Yeah.
And the answer is going to be, yeah. And so it just totally undermines this guy's credibility. It turns him from a nice, credible witness, businessman, into a opportunist, into a guy who will do anything to get a great story.
Well,
anything.
you only have to look at the Enquirer.
I know, but even that,
I know even that, but that's icing on the cake.
It is. I mean, but this is just incredible. It blows the
Southern District out of the water.
Man,
Yeah.
I mean, just kablamo.
Yeah.
This was an unassailable witness until 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And
No,
now they are.
I hadn't even thought about that. You know, that's the lawyer in your coming out. I love you. You know. I just so anyway, it says AMI Chief Executive David Pecker has had a long friendship with President Trump, who has repeatedly attacked Bezos and so forth. So yeah, that's that'll be, you know, I would imagine that the Southern District people are tearing their hair out, running around, hair on fire or whatever, because what do we do now?
Well, what they're trying to do now is they're trying to turn it around on Trump, and they're trying to say that he's involved with the National Enquirer on this attack with Bezos somehow. But that's insanity, because there's no reason for him to cooperate with the people who he knows have been granted immunity to testify against him already.
God.
But that's the
This is what
flip spin.
This is the way prosecutors keep getting paid forever, you know. Okay, so anyway, we're going to get on to the presidential races now. This is kind of interesting.
Yeah, well,
Former coffee mogul Howard Schultz inched closer toward an independent presidential bid on Thursday, delivering a speech in which he said he's looking to give back as a public servant. Now, it's interesting because...
Write that check, man. Right here.
Yeah, well, he's a billionaire.
Take a donation.
He's a billionaire. I spent my life trying to make opportunities that were available to me. Now, one of the things that he's humbly asking whether or not I can do this in another way as a public servant. Mm-hmm. And doing so as an independent centrist would completely free me from being beholden to special interest groups and extreme party ideologies. He's a fierce critic of President Donald Trump. Now, a couple things to remember. I hate it when people say they want to give back, because they've been giving. The simple fact is, he has made money in the private enterprise system. He's created jobs. Not only has he created jobs for thousands of people, thousands, millionaire, everything, the people that own the various franchises and so forth, and he has provided homeless shelters in the bathrooms at Starbucks.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
He has given back. He has given. I mean, what
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I remember one time I was over at a thing here at the Phillips Center, and I was talking with this elderly gentleman, and he said, why? He says, well, I just want to give back to the community. I said, what are you doing? I said, you've already given to this community in the ways. And when I got done with him, he said, you're right.
Yeah. He should say, give more.
Yeah.
And the Starbucks are still popping up. I mean, there's a new one on Archer Road right there, about I-75.
There's, I think that they're gonna. I think they're moving the one up here on 13th Street.
They are across the street because the parking lot was like a living hell.
But I'm saying that this nobody who wants to be president is a public servant. I'm sorry, you are a ruler. You're on top. You're top dog. You can order the missiles.
Well, but you have to phrase it like that. And then, but I'm with you. He could say, I'm going to give forward, or give more, or give whatever. It's not give back, because then.
Yeah, but how do the thing about it? If you're in the government, for instance, you've given a lot of jobs to a lot of people. You have created millionaires. You've done this, that, and the other thing. And now you're going to get in the government. And what are you going to give back? My money.
Well, right. That's the way.
You don't have any.
That's the way that the Democrat, or that's the way the socialist looks at it.
Right.
Is they're gonna give somebody else's stuff
Free.
Right. But that's not. I mean, there is another interpretation, which is they're giving their time. They're giving their time back to society, which helped them build whatever.
The arrogance of this is stunning, because this is one of many people who think that they by themselves, can make our society better.
Well, he actually has.
That's what I'm saying. You've already done your job.
Well, that's the thing is, I think for him to think, or for anybody to think that he could do better than Starbucks, I mean, what? I mean, I would just say start another company like Starbucks.
Exactly.
Then you're really going to help tons and tons and tons of people.
See, here's this thing here. Of course, is the one that they're gonna use the government to make life better for all of us. Mm-hmm. The arrogance of these people to think that they can, make life better for 320 million people is just stunning.
Just don't care, Jimmy.
You just don't care. As they say, they're just going to pull an all-nighter and come up with, as they did already.
Yeah, and if you had already done that once, if you A, cared, B, pulled an all-nighter, and then 3, stood up to your corporate interests, this would have been solved back in the 30s.
You've got the ultimate qualifications, and let's vote for you.
Hey. Woo.
So, okay, so he's going to jump in. Then there's this lady, another lady, Senator Klobuchar, to join the widening Democratic presidential field. U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar will enter the 2020 presidential race on Sunday, today, becoming the first moderate in an increasingly crowded field of Democrats. Well, of course, if you're a Democrat, I don't know how you call yourself a moderate. Anyway, she's 58, and she's now in her third 6-year term. So she's been there for, whatever it is, at least a dozen years, 14 years or something in the Senate. And she wants to position herself in contrast to Trump, who's expected to be the candidate in 2020. Although, what's interesting about that is there's a lot of people in the House that are not expecting him to be a candidate because they're going to get impeached. So I'm asking, and this is what I love about this is the Politico speak when you're going to start to run. I'm asking you to join us on this campaign. It's homegrown. I don't have a political machine. I don't come from money, but what I do have I have grit. I have grit. I have family. I have friends. Klobuchar said in the prepared remarks, and I will look you in the eye and I will tell you what I think. I will focus on getting things done. That's what I've done all my life, and no matter what, I'll lead from the heart. Now I will lead from the heart. And so, what is interesting is here in Gainesville we have a
initiative
committee called the Department of Doing.
Yes.
We have a Department of Doing.
She'd be perfect for this.
She'd be perfect for this. Right. And in fact, I think they hired the girl who's doing it from Minnesota. Might have been. She was something. Yeah, no. They
got doers in Minnesota.
That's right. They have doers, not the Scotch.
Right.
No. But I think this is interesting. I'm pretty sure this, and of course, their first initiative was on this this faux PowerPoint presentation here on affordable housing, which was a joke. I mean, people went down there and hooted her out of the place, and they had the PowerPoint, and it was on paper and overhead and everything, and we're all sitting there saying, "What are you talking about?" And even they got shouted down. The commissioners all for it because they're socialists here in this town, but it's just funny. The broad public was saying, "What are you talking about? That's my property you're talking about." So. Anyway, it's interesting. Now she's gonna, from the Department of Doing, she wants to do things.
Yeah.
And she's gonna lead from the heart. Now the beauty is, you're gonna lead not from logic.
No,
there's no rationality involved in this.
Hey.
I'm gonna lead with my emotions.
Right. Well,
this is what they all do. That's
what
Scott Adams says. Is when you look at it, when you want to do persuasive, you do it emotionally.
Right. Well, everybody, you decide what you want first, and then you use your brain to figure out how to get it.
Well, you read Win Bigly or whatever. That's a book on his persuasion techniques. Scott Adams. When he was the first guy to call out Trump as a winner. I mean, a year and a half, huh?
I don't know about first.
Well, he was
one of the big guys.
He was one of the big guys.
This podcast brought to you by Scott Adams.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, next item.
Well, let me just say, also, obviously now, it's official that Elizabeth Warren is in.
Right.
Which was just hilariously funny, the second rollout, I thought.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a big announcement about, what could it be?
Yeah.
And then it's, I'm running. And
jeez, we didn't see that coming.
No, and I guess she's doing that so that to reset after the whole misstep with the Native American thing again, or whatever. But we'll see.
She had a big crowd, big crowd. She's prominent. I mean, I had a picture of her in front of the big crowd. I don't think it was photoshopped.
No, I noticed she picked like a factory or something to be in front of with big tubes. Kind of looked like the old Milwaukee brewery or something.
Okay.
It was.
Well, it wasn't a deserted factory.
I don't know, but it certainly
all the factory people out there.
So she's promising everything too. So I gotta get that checklist up.
Yeah, we have to get, because one of the things.
Is there anybody who's not promising everything? And the question is.
No. And the thing about it is, the word "free" floats around as if it doesn't get paid for. And I walked into the store the other day, in a 7-Eleven or whatever it was, and the guy was looking at me and says, "Take one of those. They're free." And I said, "They're not free. They're at no charge." Is what they are. They're not free. Mm-hmm. So, and he says, "Yeah, okay, that's yeah,
weirdo."
Yeah, weirdo. Right? Get out of my store.
That's right. Don't take it.
That's right. Now I'm going to charge you.
Yeah, exactly.
CBD edibles are everywhere now.
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue. I had no idea.
Yeah, sure.
No. Yeah, sure. I'm an old person. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit about this. Remember, they made hemp legal. And hemp is, you can make CBD oil from that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And CBD oil has been touted as the miracle cure recently. It's prevented the seizures and
Alzheimer's.
No, not that.
Yeah, they said yes.
Oh, really?
There's apparently. Look, let me just tell you something.
Oh,
you know what snake oil
and makes you taller.
That's it. You want a large, what?
Right,
here it is right now.
That's right.
Sprinkle a little of this on you. Okay. There are at least 2 places within a 5-minute walk of my. This is written by a guy. My Brooklyn apartment where I can get a CBD latte.
Oh yeah. Well, what's happened is they've seeded the food, but it.
Well, it's interesting because he says that there's a dozen bodegas where I can get CBD gummies, CBD chocolate, or expensive CBD infused juice. And New York City is in the midst of a CBD boom. The boom may be soon coming to an end. The city's Department of Health recently paid a visit to a Manhattan bakery that sells pastries that are CBD and confiscated them all, put them in a bag and said not for sale.
We're taking these to our party. Home.
Yeah. Well, it says apparently CBD. I did not know this. It's cannabidiol. Cannabidiol.
Yeah,
Cannabidol. Okay, fine. It's currently a gray zone of legality. The Drug Environmental Administration maintains that CBD is illegal since it is derived from cannabis, but the Food and Drug Administration approved CBD prescription drug, the first of its kind to be legally sold in the U.S. So they also said they can't be infused in products to be sold as dietary supplements, nor can they be sued at food that crosses state lines. So anyway, in both Maine and which made legal recreational marijuana, Anyway, they say the CBD stuff is illegal. And I'm sitting there, wait a minute. First of all, this stuff is supposed to be, good for your arthritis or whatever it is, your migraines, and you can have recreational marijuana, but not CBD, which apparently is like not potent at all. I mean, you don't get high from this stuff, do you?
No. And what's happening here is administrative regulation gone haywire.
Right.
The bureaus that are in charge of food consumption
Mm-hmm.
are feeling a little infringed upon, as though their toes are being stepped on.
Right.
Because all of a sudden, people have started to infuse all of their food
Right.
with CBD.
Right.
And now they're saying, well, wait a minute, we didn't say it was cool yet. We didn't approve it
Yeah,
yet.
because one guy wants to go arrest him, and the other guy said it was legal.
And there's also an issue because CBD can be derived from both illegal marijuana, which has THC in it, and also from legal now hemp.
Okay.
But of course, it's only been legal for a few weeks. So if anybody has it, I mean, it's been legal in certain jurisdictions before that, but nationwide now hemp is legal. So
What's fascinating is that during the Second World War, hemp was grown specifically as a war effort, and they encouraged farmers, mostly in Texas, because they were making blankets out of hemp. And it was just a huge industry. It was part of the war effort.
Mm-hmm.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on that.
I didn't realize it was that late. I know it's been used. I mean, hemp makes the best sails and the best rope, and it does all kinds of really cool stuff, and it grows real fast.
Yeah. Well, there's a Jeeves in Worcester that has the guy is a hemp mogul in the 20s.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's really funny. If you ever get a chance, see Jeeves in Worcester.
Mm-hmm.
Really good stuff. House is one of the lead guys in there.
The bottom line is you have to be a little bit careful, like it says, when you're crossing state lines
Right.
with these things. The bottom line is don't admit that you know
Yeah.
that it's in there. Just say, I'm just buying pastries at the store or whatever. And CBD, what are you talking about? What's that? I thought I meant chocolate.
Yeah. Chocolate by day or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, we had another
Belgian dark. is
another
what I
goof we
thought.
need to know about. Let me run through this real quickly. Let me just
Okay.
see here. Oh shoot. Okay, an Air Force general so and so called himself out. He said he wore his salad pins upside down at the State of the Union.
Okay. Yeah.
And he said, and so he's apologizing because they were upside down.
I disrespected it.
Yeah, right. And I'm sitting there thinking, why are you?
I like to call myself out.
Yeah, I mean, like
Nobody noticed, but
I don't know. Okay, let's see. Gun seized.
says I am Spartacus moment.
Gun seizure laws. We'll have to talk about it again. Prince Philip. Let's see. One of the last.
Giving up his driver's license.
Yeah, 97 years old, was involved in a crash, and so reluctantly he has given up. It's okay, I'll give it up.
Right.
But it's interesting. One of the prosecutors there has not decided what he's going to charge him.
Yeah.
Apparently, there were 2 people injured in the crash.
Yeah. A couple of girls.
So after after careful consideration, the Duke of Edinburgh has taken a decision to voluntarily surrender his driving license. Okay.
My thought, just real quick, is a bunch of crap. I mean, look, he clearly didn't mean to hurt anybody.
Oh, no question.
He's at his risk of his own life. He should be able to decide whether to drive or not, and he shouldn't have to give up his license to do it. But on the flip side, of course, this is one of those little prosecutorial favors. I was in a hearing one time many years ago where there was a man who was probably in his 50s and who was he got caught for something and it was something totally different, like battery. Mm-hmm. That's what it was. And the judge said, well, if you give up your driver's license forever, I'll dismiss the battery case. Because it was like a road rage case.
Okay.
So she decided, you know this.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember that.
Anyway, little craziness. And that's what this kind of sounds like. Oh, we're punishing him. We're taking his license.
Well, he voluntarily, quote, gave it. But he's 97. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that...
Well, Grandma got really pissed when they tried to not give her license when she was that.
Oh, no, she wasn't 97.
She was close. It was 95 or something.
Was she?
Yeah.
Huh, okay. Yeah, maybe. Well, I know damn well she was driving pretty well in 88.
Uh-huh.
So, But I'm surprised that the palace didn't say, "Look, Prince, you know, yeah, you need
Take the keys there.
take the keys." That's right. Yeah, never. Okay, so I think we're pretty much out of time, unless you got something. Oh, I do got one more thing.
Go ahead.
We were talking before about the Andromeda Galaxy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, not to worry. Looking for a doomsday bunker?
Okay.
One is for sale in Las Vegas for 18 million bucks.
Uh-huh.
It's built 26 feet underground and with a structure designed to make you feel right at home with a lawn, pool, and trees. Landscape murals decorate the home with beautiful scenery, and a fake sky mimics day and night, complete with constellations. It's just 2 miles away from the Las Vegas Strip. It's on the market for 18 million. 14,000 square foot concrete steel doomsday bunker was designed to survive, an atom bomb. So, bring Andromeda, bring it on.
Yeah. It's designed to survive the atom bomb, but not the local invaders as they come down the tube.
Well, as somebody said, you go over there and at the access point, big dump truck puts concrete on it, and that's it. You're sealed in.
That's it. They come back later and move that thing, after you. I guess you have enough to survive that stuff. I don't really have anything much. We pretty much covered everything that I got. We'll get to. I'm sure we're gonna have a dead naming story at some point. Do you know what that is?
No.
So dead naming is the practice of identifying somebody by their prior gender. And it's becoming illegal in places.
What?
Yeah. So like if you call Caitlyn Jenner Bruce,
Yeah.
you could be crossing the line. There was a woman who.
You're gonna get arrested for that?
Well, okay.
Who's the injured party here? I'm sorry.
It's the person who you called the name. They're
Okay, but what happens if they're dead?
they're not. Is what?
Oh, okay. I see.
The word "dead" is a poor name.
Okay.
It should be like gender naming or something.
Okay, yeah, I know. I've seen that.
Okay, yeah. Well, anyway, and there was a story this week about a woman who got arrested, but 2 caveats. Number one, it was overseas. It was like in UK, and number two, at least in the allegations, it was unclear whether or not it was repeated conduct, whether or not she had sent a bunch of messages. So in other words, there could have been other harassment that went along with it. But the story headline was, woman dead names another woman, man, and
Trans, something.
whatever, and gets arrested. And they held her for 7 hours. So interesting. And
I saw another one like that. I meant to bring it over here, but it is really getting. It is the problem has to do with the. How can I put this? There are some obvious conflicts here that can't be resolved. Because you sit there and you think, well, I can go into the girls' bathroom and all this because I identify as a girl.
Well, exactly, and we're gonna find out just I guess what the limits of the privacy is,
And the cisgender business, I am so offended because you didn't use my preferred. Here's my pronoun. Here's my pronoun.
That's big in Canada.
Yeah.
All right. This is Kevin MacLeod. This is our copyrights notice, everybody. You're listening to Cold Funk right now. Earlier you heard Shaving Mirror, and in a minute I think you'll probably hear Whiskey on the Mississippi or maybe Happy Happy Game Show. Thanks for joining us, Gene, Bill, and Gene. I guess we got dropped at some point. I hope it looks like we got back. I don't know how long that lasted, but, or maybe you got dropped, I don't know. But thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Good to see you guys. We do this twice a week these days, Wednesdays and Sundays, 4 o'clock, right here live. And you can find us on YouTube and on Twitter. And as of now, you very well may be able to find us on iTunes.
All right.
It's possible. We are now registered with Libsyn. And I'm trying to get us well distributed, but interestingly, the old Jimmy Doane show is still well distributed out there.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks so much, everybody. We will see you soon. people, John?